Welcome to the think tank of the Constitution of the Parliamentary Government of Iran. Hi, my name is Sorab Chamanara, and for the last few years I have been talking for half an hour about change of constitution in Iran. As it has been going on for almost 40 years and maybe more in Iran since the beginning of the revolution. Even in summer of 1979, the people of Iran protested against writing the constitution of the Islamic Republic as it was at that time. And this movement of change of constitution has been going on for a long time. And it came to its peak when, in about 12 years ago, Ayatollah Khomeini appointed Mr. Ahmadinejad as a president, and we started something in Iran which is called Green Movement. Of course, it was crushed, and after that, in 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, 14 people came with the manifestation of change of constitution, which resulted in an uprising a few months later, and then it was crushed again with almost 5 or 6,000 dead. And these days, we are facing with another movement in Iran, primarily by women, for the hijab. And this, we hope, may result in something for the change of constitution. I personally, in 2014, I wrote a book when ISIS started in the Middle East. And on that book, I predicted somehow in the last chapters that ISIS will be defeated and the Iranian constitution will change. It didn't happen. And in 2018, when President Trump became president of the United States, I wrote another book a year after that, hoping that perhaps the administration will listen. And since this movement of the hijab has been in Iran going on for a long time, so I changed that book to this one, which I have already introduced that in my previous video. And it's a sort of manifestation that how the constitution of Iran will be changed, and in that case, the behavior of the regime will be changed. Because as Mr. Pompeo made in a speech in President Reagan's library in Los Angeles about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, he said that we don't want to change the regime in Iran. We want to change the behavior of the regime. And the behavior of the regime is as per the constitution that they have written. And I'm sure that the constitution has been read by all the national security advisor and all the advisors of the president and the administration. And they well know that this constitution contains certain items which clearly is written for the hostility with America and also for expanding terrorism against America. Therefore, if really administration wants to change the regime or change the behavior of the regime, they have to object to the constitution. Anyway, before I come here, I write like a statement, and I would like to read this and specifically talk about the items which I have mentioned in this statement. I have written, the Islamic Republic Constitution was a trick, and Ayatollah Khomeini himself said so. The word trick, or Khoda, in Persian, in the Shia religion, is obligatory to advance religious purposes. In 1979 revolution in Iran, a constitution revolution was a constitution revolution, and for 2 decades before that, all the protests against the Shah's dictatorship were due to the non-implementation of the constitution. From the 1953 coup to 1979 revolution, for 25 years, the Shah did not allow political activities to any party or group that opposed his dictatorship, except for religious groups that he thought were the best tools to fight against other parties, especially communists. And thus, a political vacuum was created in Iran, and in 1979, Ayatollah Khomeini, who was exiled in Iraq, took the helm of the revolution. Ayatollah Khomeini not only deceived the people of Iran, but also misled many heads of Western countries to the point where President Carter thought another Gandhi has appeared. For 6 months, Mr. Khomeini promised the people of Iran a democratic government, and for this reason, Iranians voted positively for the Islamic government in the referendum in April 1979. In the summer of 1979, when the discussion to write the constitution began, people realized the lies of Ayatollah Khomeini, but it was too late, and there was nothing people could do except scattered protests against the constitution, especially Velayat Faqih, which is the absolute dictatorship of the Ayatollahs. In the summer of 1979, the mass protest of the people of Kurdistan caused Ayatollah Khomeini to order the suppression of the people, and Ayatollah Khalkhali, who 6 months earlier had become famous for killing the leaders of the previous regime, became the leader of the killing of the protesters. One of the photos of the protesters being shot won the Pulitzer Prize that year, which can be seen on page 80 of the book Imagine the Fall of Ayatollahs. However, in the heart of the revolution, the Islamic Constitution was approved in the House of Ayatollahs. If the Islamic Constitution is reviewed and underlined its anti-American expressions, one can find out its first consequence was the U.S. Embassy hostage taking, which lasted 444 days. The second consequence of the Islamic Constitution of Iran was Saddam Hussein's stupid invasion of Iran, which was a blessing for Ayatollah Khomeini, as he said himself, by which he established his Islamic Sharia government in Iran for many years to come. The Constitution of the Islamic Republic of Iran was designed and written for two purposes. One, enmity with America and the development of terrorism against America. Two, looting Iran by the affiliates of the Ayatollahs. As I said, I have making videos talking in Persian and putting it in the website of qanun.org. But I have realized that the voice of Iranians should be heard by the American administration, and it's better to talk in English rather than Persian and talk with the administration of America. And that's why for almost 4 or 5 years, I have made a website, iranianamerican.info, and have sent the messages of those minority voices. Although, if you walk in the universities of Iran and talk with the elite of Iran and even the ordinary people, everybody objects to the constitution of the Islamic Republic of Iran. But this voice cannot be heard by American administration because there are two groups in America, two groups, a powerful group and with lots of wealth. One of them is MKO or Mujahideen, which is led by one woman called Maryam Rajavi. They are stationed in Albania, but their background and resume is well known to the people of Iran and the United States, but I don't know how these people are so popular with the American administration. These people are the same people in 50 years ago killed the first American general in Iran. That was their first attempt of terrorism. So when Khomeini came, they became their Khomeini soldiers, and fought with Khomeini to kill all the military people. And even when Khalkhali was killing only 100, 200 Iranian leaders at that time, they were objecting, no, that's not the way of doing it. The killing must be many, many. And then the hostage taking came and the war with Saddam began. And then they moved to Iraq and fought with Saddam against Iran. And after the invasion or occupation of Iraq by American, they were actually fighting against American. And then finally, when everybody was defeated, they moved with somebody says with $2 or $3 billion of Saddam Hussein's money into exile, or they became quiet until United States for the humanitarian aspect. They took them to Albania, of course, with lots of expenses. They say they have spent $50 million of the American taxpayers to station them in Albania. And now they are resting there. But somehow it is very, it's, I should say, not interesting, but funny that they come to the Foreign Relation Committee of the Congress, and Senator Menendez invites them to talk with the Congress people. And when they talk the same thing. Well, we are against the dictatorship and all of those usual things. These are one group that their voices are heard very clearly by the United States administration and even the famous people like Mr. Pompeo or Giuliani or John Bolton or Newt Gingrich. They go to their meetings and make speeches in their gathering in Albania. This is one group. The second group are Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, who came to United States few years before revolution with $150 million cash money, and also with millions of dollars, 150 or more castles and the buildings and real estate, and also some saving and something which, like they claim to be $60 billion in the banks of Switzerland. This man came to the United States, and even during the President Reagan administration, he was offered to go to one of the islands in Persian Gulf. And the first thing he said at the age of 20, at that time 22 or something like that, well, if it didn't work, how do we run away? Just like his father to run away. And these people are only good when the United States change the regime or make a coup for them, and then they invite them to go there and become king. And then during these years, he has done something which everybody knows what he has done. And he is waiting for something to happen in Iran, and then he makes speeches or goes to the Congress and make a speech. Give me $1 billion and I will change the regime for you. This is his activities. And he gets a donation from all these Arab states, from Sharjah to Morocco, Saudi Arabia, and everybody. He will give them just because of his father's good name, has good relation with these people. And then all the American uh, media are at his disposal. Anything happens, they write a speech for him and he comes and make a speech. But those real people who are fighting with the regime in Iran, inside Iran, their voices are not heard by the American administration because what they want is primarily to change the constitution. Now, in my statement, I have written that the constitution of Iran is a trick. The word trick in Islamic Shia doctrine is a sort of a trick that you are allowed, and you are not only allowed, but it is necessary that you do so to advance the religious purposes. And that was exactly what Khomeini did. Because during his um, time that he was in Paris and then he came to Iran, he was making a speech. All the clips of the newspaper are actually, you can see it. Of course, they are all in Persian, that we want the democracy, the women are free, the parties are free, the elections are free, and all of those good things that all the politicians will promise. But with that promise, he took the people on the voting booths, and then the people voted, yes, this is Islamic government that we want, with all those things, good things that Khomeini has said. But few months later, when the constitution was written, everything changed. And when people ask him that, oh, Your Excellency, Ayatollah, you said these things just only 3 months ago, how come everything has changed? And he says, well, I did Khoda, that means I tricked. That is quite okay. That's as far as he is concerned. And now the Iranian people have been facing with this constitution for almost 44 years. And the consequence of all these constitution is what you see in Iran. The country so happy and um, with everything the people had. Today, 70% are under poverty, and number one in the international terrorism. And there is no way out, because any protest like this one and like previous one will be crushed by the force of Ayatollah's regime. But the only thing that the United States can do is to change the sanction to a smart sanction. By a smart sanction, we mean to put the sanction of those people who have stolen money from Iran and have deposited in the banks of Western countries. And these are the sleeping cell. If the Islamic regime is defeated and changed, these people don't go away with such a wealth, which even the US administration knows it is about $1,000 billion spread all over the world. Contrary to Shah's regime, which was in Switzerland, these people are all over the world. So the sanctions should be on them, not the people of Iran. If such a thing happened, this change of constitution movement, which we are at the fourth stage of it, will become will go into the fifth stage. And the rest of the things will come in Iran very, very quickly after the sanctions are smart. And then on the eighth stage, the parliament will be uh, made in Iran. And on that parliament, the new constitution, a parliamentary constitution, will be discussed and approved. And in that time, not not killing or destroying anything in Iran. Everybody will stay as it is, but the constitution will change. We have to understand the value of the constitution for the governing. Right now in America, practically the word constitution is said thousands of times every day because our life, our prosperity, our happiness, everything we have in United States is because of this constitution. And this is what we are going to do for Iran. Perhaps one day we have a constitution where the people could govern. Thank you very much. Until next time.